We've got Bob on the line, Bob McCoskrie from Family First on the line, to talk about this ACC issue. Bob, how are you? Nice to talk to you.
Good, thank you, Sean. How are you?
Very well. Now, tell us about what, and I've seen it, I'm sorry, I've been travelling today and I didn't get time to sit down and study it or indeed print it off. You guys have raised an issue about a new, what is it, a staff directive for ACC staff?
Yeah, basically, it's we got sent it by someone who had received it. You can assume how they received it, and basically, it is entitled transitioning. So this is ACC, who are into prevention, care, and recovery, paid by your taxes.
Are they Rainbow Tick accredited? I imagine they are.
Yeah, I'd say actually.
Just check.
I better confirm that. Yeah, but it's called Transitioning Gender at Work, a guide for kaimahi and their leaders.
What a kaimahi?
Yeah, I was going to ask you that, actually.
Anyone know? Okay, well, we'll crowdsource it. If someone could text him, what the hell does kaimahi mean? Maybe it means staff, Bob. Should we take a crack and say it means staff?
Yeah, okay. It means person employed to work on a ship's deck, a deckhand.
Okay. Staff. I think it means crew
Apparently
staff.
An employee. Yeah, married worker or employee. Well, that's interesting. It's only referring to Māori workers or employees then. Oh. Okay.
Yeah, it's like pick a language and stick with it, isn't it, Bob? Okay, so what does this guide... Now, is this a guideline, a draft, or is this the new, if you like, policy, as far as you can establish from the document?
Well, it's a guide, but there are clear expectations, and so they say that they want to support, everybody, their well-being at work. They say they're committed to working with transitioning employees, their people manager, teams and clients. I thought that was a really interesting work. Apparently, if an employer is wanting to change their sex, their client is part of that process, and that really sort of
they can't,
eyebrows.
Bob, just be careful, they can't change their sex.
No, try to.
Well, change the sex, it's changing their gender that they identify as. Right, okay.
And so they quote the Public Service Act, which says about fostering a workplace that is inclusive of all groups, although I think possibly TERFs are not included in this group.
And for those who don't know, that means that's a derogatory term for trans-exclusionary radical feminists.
Well, someone who believes you're born male, female, believes in biology. Now, there's a kind of a few directives. Like I say, one of the things they say is to develop a list of people involved. You would think it would be just the person wanting to identify as the opposite sex and maybe their manager and maybe some work colleagues. But then one of the questions is, under develop a list of people involved, who are the ACC clients who may need to be engaged at some point during this transition? So, you're drawing clients possibly, and I'm not quite sure.
Well, I suppose if your case manager was John and the next day they turn up and they're Jill,
was Dane,
you might want you might want a heads up, Bob.
So then you talk about is it a guide or is it a requirement? Well, then you quickly get into rights and responsibilities, and it says that ACC expects our people to support an employee's choice to transition. Yeah. And then it says all employees should be addressed by a chosen name. Okay, well, that's fine.
That's fine. No problem with
that. Sean, if you want to be Shani, I'm happy to call you Shani.
Yeah.
But, and chosen pronouns. So he, him, she, her, they, them, etc.
They, them's just silly for a start, but okay.
Yeah, and of course all those other ones that correspond with the employer's gender identity. And it says the intentional and persistent refusal to respect an employee's gender identity, for example, intentionally not using their preferred pronouns, for example, may constitute discrimination, bullying or harassment as described in ACC policy.
Yeah.
But then it gets slightly worse, and we talk about change room and bathroom accessibility, and it says ACC employees have access to the change room and toilet facilities corresponding to their gender.
Not sex.
Well, I think they meant to say gender identity. Now, you read that paragraph and you go back a couple of pages and it talks about privacy, and it says, people managers and colleagues should, to the extent practicable, not disclose information that may reveal an employee's gender or gender non-conforming presentation to others without the consent of the employee.
Oh, God.
So if you've got a worker who's wanting to be the other gender and they say, well, I don't want anyone to know what I'm going through, but I'm going to use the opposite toilets and I'm going to change with,
But you can't tell anyone. That's very confusing.
You can't tell anyone. Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, those are the main ones that sort of jump out. There's one other that you might be interested in. It says apparently Māori who are transgender, so this is under Māori transgender rights. Apparently they have
different.
A special paragraph.
Yeah. Māori
who are transgender and identify as male, female, or across the spectrum of genders, plural.
There's only two genders. God. Sorry.
No, there's 112, Sean. Get with the program.
Okay.
So Māori who are transgender and identify as male, female, or across the spectrum of genders have guaranteed rights that are supported and protected by Te Tiriti o Waitangi.
What a load of bullshit. Sorry. What a load of codswallop. I didn't see any of the motions. Hey, hang on, Governor. What about the bit of the transgenders at work, bro?
They say, that they quote the Public Service Act, which says foster a workplace that is inclusive of all groups. But as employees have told me, well, they don't want, biological males in the girls' changing rooms or the girls' toilets. Now, the common comeback is, show us evidence that anybody has ever been abused or raped by someone.
Well,
actually, that's not the issue. The issue is that women do not want dudes in their toilet or changing room.
Yeah.
And for some of them, it's actually, emotional safety in terms of if they've been a victim of sexual abuse previously. So once again, they talk about the rights of, making it safe for all employees, but in fact, or inclusive of all groups. But in fact, what they're doing is they're giving exclusive rights to a particular group and, to hell with the rights of others in the building.
Bob, I think overall you read that and it's just a bit of woke virtue signalling by ACC. And I don't think there's anything there that's going to cost anyone their job, but it basically says you've got to be wokish if you want to work at ACC and this happens. I guess the question is, I don't know how much public money went into producing that. I am just going to say off the top of my head, ACC, I'm pretty sure, must be a member of Rainbow Tick, because this is the sort of rubbish that they would propagate, and they'd say, you've got to do this or you'll lose your Rainbow Tick.